Hi and welcome to StockInvest.us podcast for week 26. The big question is, will it be a good week like last week? Last week I told you I thought the markets would go up, that it would be a week of rebounds. And indeed it was. Nasdaq up more than 7%. As I told you, I thought it would be 11,200, but Nasdaq actually ended at 11,600. And even better, the trading tips, they were up 10% more or less, all of them, but one I actually had to sell with a loss. Which one? We will get back to that. First, as usual, we will have to listen to the disclaimer. After that, I will give you a market insights for the week, what to expect. I will tell you exactly, do I think the market will go up or down this week? Then we will run through a few analyses very quickly: Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Bitcoin and Dogecoin. And at the very end, you will have this week's trading tips. But first, as I said, we have to listen to the disclaimer.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the StockInvest.us weekly stock and crypto podcast. The podcast is hosted by StockInvest.us co-founder and Golden Star Signal inventor, Jim Stromberg, who has been actively trading since 1996. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit like and notification bell so you will be first to know when we post a new video. This podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and other audio sources. Ensure you listen to the entire podcast so you don't miss out on some key tips needed for this week's strategy.
Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information provided, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.
Hopefully this week's podcast will have a little bit better sound quality than last week, which was very awful. But yet again, I am at the office. I'm not able to be in the studio to record as normal. But I brought a mic and hopefully it will be better. I do understand the people complaining last week about the sound quality, but here is lesson number 1. If all you do is focusing on problem, not the message, well, you are missing out some of the point. And this is also related to trading. Try to move away everything that is just noise and focus on the real deal. Last week I told you it would, in my opinion, would be a green week. I gave you 11,200 as an estimate for Nasdaq. Nasdaq went much better than that, ending at 11,607 points, up 7.49%. Dow Jones was up 5.39%. And it was rebounds across the line. Good tickers like Microsoft, all of them went up. Even a little bit better than my target. My trading candidates, most of them gave 9-10%. And we will also get back to that. The question is, will this week be the same? That's the one thing that we will try to analyze. And I will get a little bit ahead of conclusion, because when we get to the trading tips, I will have less trading candidates this week than last week. Last week I argued everything was oversold, everything was at the bottom of the trend. In my opinion, it should react. The relative strength index was lost. Everything was in place for a correction up, and that you would have a lot of rebounds. That was why for the first time I had so many trading tips like last week, so many trades open. This week I will start to reduce the amount of trading tips. I will give you some reasoning why. But if you're a new listener and you're listening either on Spotify, Anchor, wherever you are, this podcast is also on YouTube. It will be released on YouTube 1-2 hours after released on Spotify, and you can see some charts and even me if you want. The thing is that, and also if you're new, listener, you have to understand the bigger picture to better time the small picture. And even if you're just a day trader and you say that I don't care about the long market, well, if you expect a red market, how in God's name will you be able to do good trades if the market is red? Then I suggest, like I suggested last week, in a green market you increase your trades. When you expect a red market, you reduce your trades and are much more selective. Overall, this podcast, more than 100 podcasts, more than 2 years, every single Monday I spend my time trying to help you doing one thing: reduce your losses, increase your gains. And I've given you many of the things that I use, many of the tools I use. And stop loss is being one of them. And I will tell you when we get to the trading tips how things just went for themselves using trading stop loss. It's 30 degrees here in Vilnius. I have my kids visiting me. And doing so, I don't want to spend all the time in front of the computer, and then stop loss is just the perfect tool, which I really recommend. But let's get to the real deal. What can we expect for the week ahead of us? Last week I told you there were no major fundamental news coming out, and that was a good thing, because we know that fundamental news, they reflect the market. So what are the things this week? Well, this week there will be more economic numbers. It will be consumer expenditure numbers on Thursday, I think it is, and different numbers during all week. But I don't expect any of these numbers to be any particular. They will just say the same thing. People are starting to reduce their spendings. Inflation, all the inflation indicators are still high. So there is nothing really new. The one thing that I think will be worse than the market expect is the job numbers on Thursday. And again, you just have to listen to this podcast, because I told you the Ukraine war would come. I told you inflation would come. Just go a year back, everything is there. Black and white, you can hear me say it. These things that will happen. And over the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months, I've been telling you that now the job numbers, I believe I said that from May you would see job numbers starts to weaken, and now I think that you will see they really start to weaken very, very fast. So this is a number that you should keep an eye on. It's on Thursday, it's the job number. I think they will come in worse than expected. Very quickly give you a reason for this. Interest rates are going up, inflation is extremely high, profit is going down. There will be Q results this week coming. Keep an eye on them because they will tell the same story. Profit margins are going down. The companies, they have to be able to sell their goods. And as consumer spendings go down, the way to do it is to lower the selling price, meaning that you lower the profit, or you don't increase your prices while the gross prices of your products increases, so you get less profit. Anyway, the profit is eaten in most companies. So Q results will also come this week, and I think job numbers, Q results, they will tell the same thing. We are heading for a recession. Thursday, for sure, might be that thing that could, in my opinion, change the week. So we had a very good week last week. I had a quick look at markets, at the indicators, at news before starting the podcast today. Everything tells the same thing. We are in a very good mood. The market is in a very good mood, and you can have a continuation early this week. And I even read some saying that, oh, now based on history, we will have 25% rebounds in the markets. That may very well happen, but you have to understand that the overall tendency in the markets, everything is negative. We are just moving up from the bottom of the trend. It's such a natural reaction. It doesn't say anything about markets going to go up for the next 3 months. So I still advise some caution. And again, I will not do as many trading tips this week, simply because I do not expect the week to be as good as last week. We will try to make a conclusion. What will happen in the week? Will it be a green or a red week? We use some indicators. I tell you a little bit about oil. The reason why I mentioned oil is because it's an instrument, and I told you to buy oil shares way back. And for those following those tips, have really nice profit. I think oil will continue up. It had a little wiggly week last week, ending down $2 to $108. But I think oil will just continue to go up. And oil represents energy. It also represents a huge part of the cost, because oil is used in so many products. So oil, really important to keep an eye on. If it starts to fall, it will be super good for the markets, exactly what we need. But as long as oil is high, the energy cost will be high, which means that logistics cost will be high. I think if it was not last week, it was some weeks before, I told you that the logistics cost will be very high, and that will continue to push inflation up. And I saw a lot of people start to commentate on the same thing, that our logistic cost is very high. We need to increase prices, keeping the inflation up. The other thing is gold. It's $1,839 as we speak, down $6 from last week. But I believe gold will go up to 2,500, but it will not happen anytime soon. The reason because of this is because interest rates is going up. When interest rates go up, people start to save a little bit more money into the bank. And the pressure on items like gold goes down a little bit. So unless there will be more wars, anything coming up, you shouldn't see gold move very fast anytime soon. I am very well invested into gold. Of course, I want gold to go up, but we have to be realistic. The one new conflict coming more and more up, I already warned you about this a long time ago. After Ukraine, there will be the Taiwan conflict. Keep that on your radar. I don't think it will happen this summer, but maybe already in the fall, we might see things starting to happen. And the very last indicator before we start looking at the charts and signals, the 10-year Treasury yield, it fell 3.19% last week at 3.13. This is one very easy number to follow, 10-year Treasury yield, because if it goes up, you can expect markets to go down. That was and has been true ever since I started to tell you it was back when it was 1. As it goes up, the market will go down. Has happened so far, it will continue to happen until we reach that point where everything is baked into the expectations of the markets. But too much talking, let's get to the final conclusion. There is no big fundamental news. I warned you last week that the Ukraine conflict, I think we will see more escalation. It can come this week. That you have to be prepared for, and anything real bad will shake the markets. We are going to look at the chart, but very first, analyzing, I think it's 38,000 tickers. From these, some 27,000 tickers are qualified. We look at the amount of buy and sell signals across the board. Right now, 19% of the companies are giving buy signals. It's very good. Last week it was 12. I told you it's very low, and usually you get the reaction up. 19 is starting to get high, but it's not very high. Last time markets fell, we were up at 24 to 26, so there is still room. Going to nasdaq, it's only 21% buy signals, very much up from last week, which was down at 9, an obvious buy. Now it's 21. The times before, when nasdaq's been turning, it's been up even as high as 44%. I think we had one time back. But 21 is also starting to get to that place where things are not obvious. New York Stock Exchange, 16% buy signals, and across the world, over in Tokyo, is 26. And Shenzhen, China remains very high at 46%. So the amount of signals, buy signals, they are going up. At some point, there will be too many of them, and we will head for a downturn. Normally, if this was a rising trend, the markets were going up, you could expect buy signals to get as high as 40, maybe close to even 50. We saw that last year when everything was green, that the buy signals was pushed hard. In a downturn market like we are now, I would say that when we start to get up to the high 20s, we are already getting into a territory where we should expect things to go down. Still, we are not there, and that indicates that there might be room for some upturn this week. But we will check the chart to make a final conclusion. Where is markets heading this week? And looking at the chart, it behaved exactly like I said. It moved a little bit better. I thought that the resistance around 11,200 would be where the market settled. I think, if I remember correct, I said that the high might be 11,600-700 and fall a little bit back. Now the markets are facing some resistance all the way from 11,600 to 11,000. If it breaks 11,800, it should move very fast up to 12,000, where it faces next resistance. Volume is high, but not very high for the market. It can even move more up. Relative strength index is moving upwards. It's 44. It's not very high because then you need to be above 60, I would say. But markets have, and relative strength index have turned at these levels earlier. Trying to get to a conclusion where and what will happen this week. I think we might have a positive start on the market. We are at the upper part of the trend, and normally things can turn or should turn. I think we will see a break. I think that the market will be able to push upwards, maybe to 12,000, but then I think it will be the end of this short-term upturn. The next acid test will be to turn above previous bottom of 10,600. So if we are to get into a very nice fall, we want the following to happen. We have a natural reaction up. It continues, in my opinion, it continues to 12,000 high. Then falls back. Hopefully it will turn again around 11,600 or 11,000 points and create a bottom higher than the previous. That's the one thing that we want. For the week as such, I think up in the first part of the week, and sadly I believe it will go down by the end of the week. I know many says that it will be another 7% upturn this week. I hope they are correct. My gut feeling says that we will have a red week, and for that I am sorry. My reasoning is that we are in the upper part of the trend. The volume is getting high. It still has some more to go. I think that will be taken out during the first 2 days, maybe even today, pushing markets upward to 12,000, then starting to fall. Maybe that will give us a good buying opportunity next week. I don't know. I don't see the markets to fall very much this week. Actually, I don't think it will be the low. In my opinion, should be 11,200, while the high can be 12,000, ending the week somewhere around, let's say 11,400, so just barely under today's level. Enough of that. Let's quickly run through some tickers and get to the trading candidates. Which tickers am I trading this week? Where I'm trying to make the money? Will I make as much money as I did last week? Last week the tickers did better than I thought, but all went up. I had them up as well, except Tesla, which I thought would struggle by the end of the week. Tesla did quite okay, ending at $732. For Apple, and we'll start with Apple, go through Microsoft, Tesla, and then Bitcoin and Dogecoin. And for Apple, I said last week I thought Apple would end at $137, going up from the previous week, but did $4 better than that, ending above $141, $141.66 to be exact. Same thing happened with Microsoft, which also did better than I thought. We will look at the chart, and I will tell you what I think will happen this week. Again, as I told you last week, the reason why I do these tickers is because they will reflect, they will give you an idea about the overall market and what you can expect. And Apple, of course, reflect the markets very much in general, Apple being such a big company. And we see the same thing, like I just told you, for nasdaq chart. It's in the upper part of the trend, faces lots and lots of resistance above. So any journey up here will be a struggle for Apple. In my opinion, it can push upwards to 145, maybe 147 on a good roll, because it still can increase a little bit in volume relative strength. The index is moving up, just like for Nasdaq. Has some more room, but not much, before it faces very huge resistance between 145 and 150. If 150 is broken, it should move very fast upwards to 158, even 160 high. For Apple, I think the following will happen. I think that we will go a little bit up, struggle with all the resistance, and 145 to 150 could be 148 high, and then start to fall. Volume will go up first part of the week, then fall, and Apple will, by the end of the week, be very close to where it is today. I just have to take a qualified guess. Actually, I think it will fall. I will put a target for $138 for Apple this week. Our system says hold. I totally agree to this. Ride it as long as you can, because it might go up to 150. I may be very off. I'm just telling you what I think. Moving fast over to Microsoft. And Microsoft represent also a wide group. We see the same thing. We see a ticker that moved all the way to the top of the trend, got a buy signals from the short-term moving average, long-term moving average. Volume is not record high. It can still go more up, follows the ticker nicely. All these things we want. Relative strength index is 48. It's not overbought by any means. Last time it was high was 51.72, like back in June around 9:10 it was 72, and then of course Microsoft fell after that. There is room for more upturn, and Microsoft may very well go up to $280, where it starts to face a lot of resistance between 280 to 290. So there is some room for more trading, but I think it might be a bumpy ride. The very low for the week, unless something very bad happens in the market, I think will be 265, so it will just be just under today's level. First part should be up, then it should start to fall back, move a little bit sideways, and as I said, end the week, in my opinion, just below today's target. I will just repeat something I said. What we want is, of course, that the next bottom is higher than the previous bottom, which was at $242. So that's what we want. We want the stock, when and if, and it will be when it reacts back, just to find a new bottom higher than the previous one. And what about Tesla? Looking at the chart, actually it's quite okay, it's quite nice. It's moving within what I would call a rectangle formation, where you have a bottom at 630. If this level is broken down, you should expect a very fast fall downwards. At the top it has some resistance around 775, just above today's level. If that is broken, you can expect a very fast movement upwards. It is, in my opinion, actually showing signs to break that falling trend, and the typical natural reaction in these cases is moving up, then falling back towards the bottom of the trend. Relative strength index is 55. It's not high, it's not low. Buy signals from short-term moving average, long-term moving average. The volume is not following the stock, indicating that it might struggle a little bit by the end of the week. Very little resistance between today's level and 850 is a huge trading room if you're lucky. In these cases, you will maybe take a bet, watch the stock carefully. If you're lucky, it will have a super bounce upwards towards 850ish and then fall back. It can also just turn from today's level and then of course just continue down. If 628 is broken down, it will fall, as I said, very fast, at least $100 down. My guess for the week is that Tesla will do like Microsoft and Apple. It will go up in first part of the week, then fall a little bit back. My guess it will end somewhere where it is today. Could be a nice week for Tesla. Hopefully it will be. My guess it will end the week at 700 and let's say $710, meaning that I think also Tesla will fall during the week. Very quickly run through Bitcoin and Dogecoin, and what we see in Bitcoin is behind the markets, I would say. Of course, you had the reaction up from the bottom of the trend. Now it's moving upwards. It still has room to move upwards towards 25,000 points. And I think that will happen. It comes from very, very low, very, very oversold market. I think it should push upwards to 25, where it again may fall downwards. The main important thing now is staying above $19,000, because if 19,000 is broken down, Bitcoin may very fast fall to 10,000. We see these previous steps when it was 40. I told you if it was broken, it will fall very fast to 30. Happened. If 2830 would be broken, it would fall to 20. Sadly, that also happened. I'm back into Bitcoin, have to admit that. I think there might be some opportunities. At the same time, the trend is negative. And until this trend is broken, nothing is guaranteed. We are just trying to be ahead of markets. I wouldn't recommend that for anything else than as a lottery ticket, because right now it's just a lottery ticket. There is nothing in this chart saying that Bitcoin will go up to new heights anytime soon. Target for the week, 24,000. And very, very quickly also a quick look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin is moving up from the bottom of the trend, more or less as expected, starting to get a little bit high on relative strength index. Could turn around 9 just to continue downwards. Buy single short-term moving average, long-term moving average. There should be some upside in Dogecoin, but volume is very low, meaning that there's very little interest in Dogecoin right now. Personal guess is that we will see Dogecoin maybe crawl back up to 9 cents during the week. Then it's time for the final part, the trading tips. So it's the trading tips, and last week I had 5 trades which I wanted to do. One was open, it was Stromberg. I told you I wanted to keep that one open, bought in week 21. And Stromberg managed to gain a few percent last week. I bought it for 22 cents. Currently trading at 25 cents, up 13.68%. That still remains open, because I think Stromberg is one that can go very fast to minimum 30 cents. So I'm still keeping Stromberg up. Should you buy it? Well, personally, I think that 25 cents is a good bargain. The company still has a lot of money on their bank account. And if the markets continue up, I think that after you have the run in Tesla, Microsoft and all these companies, you will see some of these penny shit stocks move upwards, and Zoom might be one. But it's a high risk candidate, and you shouldn't trade it unless you are prepared to lose some money, because that's the name of the game. But it was one of the trading tips last week. I still keep it open, and it's so far up 13.68%. What about last week's tips? Well, I told you Mullen, bore drilling, and energizing, and Chevron. That was the tips last week. And I wanted to get in on Monday, but the day started very, very good, and it became a hard struggle to trying to find the very low. And for the first time in many, many weeks, I was not able to feel very good about the buy. Usually there are some tendencies you can follow buying the market after half an hour after opening, because usually it could be a good low. I struggled and I just saw Mullen going up, and it starting to face that resistance at 150. I was hoping there would be a dip and I could get into Mullen cheap, but I had to buy Mullen at $148 because in my guess it would break the 150 and then move very fast upwards. So I bought Mullen 148, put on a 5% trailing stop loss, and just moved on. Mullen just continued upwards. I think it went all the way up to 171 and then it fell back and was closed at 162%. I think actually I was out having a swim because very good weather here in Vilnius right now. And it was Tuesday or something that Mullen was closed in the evening, giving me 9.46%. So there you see again use of trading stop loss. I could have gained 5% more, but as I've told you before, being too busy using trailing stop loss, perfect tool, especially in volatile markets like this where you have huge swings. Boy Drilling had the same operation on Monday, trying to find in where to go because it was going faster than I wanted and thought. But I got in at Boy Drilling at 5.53%. Put on a trailing stop loss, let it run. It went up just above 6 something and then started to fall, and my stop loss got it at 606, giving 9.58%. And then there is Energizes. I bought Energizes at 26.20. Ener is the ticker. We'll show you in the podcast if you watch it at YouTube. And that one just continued up. It didn't fall back. It just moved slowly up all week and is still open. So far, giving me 9.43% profit. And no matter what happens, I will have minimum 5% profit in Ener. So, Zoom went up, Mullen went up, Boy Drilling went up. Both Mullen and Boy Drilling was closed by stop loss. I don't run a stop loss in Sumedica right now. I give you the reason for that. Ener still open, simply because it moved up. It didn't have that fall. The last ticker I bought was Chevron CVX because I saw huge opportunities in Chevron. Didn't manage to keep the expectation. Oil had a little fall. Chevron fell a little bit more. I bought at 153. It went up maybe to 154, then starting to fall, and it was sold by stop loss at 146.86, giving a loss of 4.08%. But overall the week became very, very green. I did exactly the same average as the markets did. I had 3 tickers going up, 1 going down. All of them was 946, 958, 943. You can see it's more or less the same. And then I had to take that small loss in Chevron. Very good week. So what are the trading tips for this week? First off, again, it's very warm here in Vilnius. It's very nice summer days. I have my kids visiting. Even my sister is here this week. And I want to spend time with them. I don't want to trade. I don't want to watch the market. My opinion, as I told you in the market section, is that the market should start good this week. But I'm not sure about the last week. I have that feeling that it might be ending red. Due to this, I will not go like last week where I went into a lot of companies. I have 2 tips which I will trade today. Put my bets in. And I will keep Sumedica and Ener open. They are open. Ener is running on a trailing stop loss. So in total, I will have 4, which is more than enough. This is the first company that I will try to buy. Boy Drilling. Yes, I had it last week. We've been on several trades in Boy Drilling. Last week gave profit. I think I will be able to do the same thing once again. And let's have a very quick look at the charts. And if we look at the charts, we can see what I try to convey. It's in a rising trend. It's at the very bottom of the trend. No resistance between $5.60 and $6. Indicates to me that something will happen. Relative strength index is not very low, but it turned at 35. Last time it turned was back in April, then at 36, continued upwards ever since. So we come from somewhat low relative strength index position. It can fall more, of course it can. Volume is showing a very interesting reaction. Support found from accumulated volume around today's level, but be aware there might be a fall to $5. You don't know for sure. This is the risk. There is no guarantee. So here is what I want to do. I will start just after this podcast. I will start to look at the pre-markets. I will start to check where it might be opening, what I can expect for the day. I want to buy it as cheap as possible. I will try to hunt at least these 10% which I see available between $5.50 and $6. In my opinion, it can even move all the way up to $6.30 in a very nice run. Buy signal long-term moving average, sell signals from the short-term moving average, but a little upturn, and it will give buy signals from also the short term. So board drilling is one of the trading candidates that I will try this week, simply because I bought it several times. We had several good trades in board drilling. The other company is Vendi. And looking at the chart, you can see that it's coming up nicely. It has just given a huge buy signals from the relation between the short and the long-term moving average, called a golden cross. Not a star, but a cross. Here marked actually as a green cross is a huge buying signal. Hopefully it will fall a little bit down. Maybe I can get it around 1850, 60, 70. But not sure that will happen. Volume follows very nicely, and I think it might be a slow grower during the week, moving upwards to $20 or $21. The reason why I pick Vendi is because I think, if I'm correct, that the markets may struggle a little bit by the end of the week. I think this is one stock that can do good. In general, it also shows tendencies for the longer term. Here shown in the chart, where you have bottoms higher than the previous bottoms, is always a good sign. It shows this will to start break the trend. So also for a longer term perspective, I think that the risk is less, and that's exactly what I want to do. I reduce my risk a little bit, simply because I'm not guaranteeing for a green week, but still for open trades. And that will be the end of this week's podcast. Soon I will be back to normal recording studio and back to normality. I hope you will have a good trading week. There is such amount of oversold candidates which you still can trade. There should be many trading opportunities this week. I will end the podcast with something I spoke about last week. FIFO and LIFO, first in, last out, or first in, first out, last in, last out. These things really matter. Here is a very classical pattern. You did not get in last week simply because you have been losing money for months and months. Last week was a good week. Your friends, your colleagues, even on Reddit and different places started to talk, oh, such a good week, I made 25% last week in a good stock, because some stocks even did 50, 60, 70%. It was a good week last week. So now you decide to go into the market because now it might be good. In a volatile market, this is the one way where you usually start to lose money. If you want to make it in this market, you have to have that FIFO attitude, first in, first out. You have to be a little bit aggressive. You have to try to organize your strategy, your thoughts. What will happen this week? Will it be a good trading week? Place your bets accordingly. Of course, you can just play single stocks, but also single stocks will be affected by the overall market. So the tips is, as I said, if you want to make it in this market, you have to get your attitude more towards first in, first out. You run when it runs, and you get out before it falls. Because, as I told you, the classical pattern is now we had a very, very strong week last week. Everyone expects maybe this week will be the same, another 7%, because markets are very, very much down. So maybe they will go to new all-time high. Usually it doesn't happen like that. It goes in step. So we had a very good last week. Could be a good week this week, but then it will be a downturn. Hopefully it will be a short and it will be a new upturn. But most people get in too late, get into the last part of the upturn, then head into the downturn, selling their stock with losses in fear, and just wasting a very good opportunity. There is no guarantees that my trading tips will be successful this week, despite so far the trading tips been doing very strong. It's not many weeks where it's been red, usually it's green. It might very well be that I'm off this week and it will be a red week. You don't know. What you want to do is reduce your losses, use stop loss. And the other thing that you want to do is spend some time with friends, family, enjoy life. Enjoy last part of summer, because we're heading for a winter. Of course, depending where you are. But we are heading for winter with energy crisis coming up. There will be a tough winter. I'm pretty sure about that. There will be nothing easy about the late fall for sure. But we will enjoy, we will make money as long as it lasts. And in the meantime, we will enjoy the sun, the warmth, and the summer. Until next week, have a good week. Bye.